So we are looking forward to everybody coming out. We're working for short periods of time. We don't want anybody overextending their back issues but at the same time, it's work that pulls at muscles, if we do it right, that are stretching muscles that as we stop being out and working that hard and moving that way, they begin to contract. And that's really when you start to get this in the shorter steps. So coming out and really extending yourself and popping out those crowns and always being aware of your position will improve you physically in a way that's just astronomical. I can still bend over and put my hands on the ground. That said, I also was in bed for a little while not too long ago with a back issue, so I'm not going to. But it's the flexibility that has come from doing this work for so long that I really appreciate. So that coming out, it's not just about your manpower. It's about really giving to yourself not only the benefit of working with the community and improving your community, but also improving your own physical health. So what we're doing at the moment, we have the AmeriCorps team, and they have removed this week 600 crowns of blackberry. Blackberry is our predominant problem here, and it's not a simple one because the blackberry that's here, I'm fairly sure, is actually a hybrid. Its crowns can be this big, and that doesn't include the root that goes in. And the reason that it's such a beast is it has hybridized with the native blackberry, which is supposed to be here, and the Himalayan blackberry, which is not. The Himalayan blackberry was brought in by Luther Burbank, and he thought it was a great, berry pie making plant, and it was, but it escaped. And when it escapes, it very quickly becomes what you see here. And the problem is that people haven't realized it's a fire issue because underneath this green is nothing but dead twig. So when you've got a fire moving through, it's just habitat for fire. I mean, it loves it. That's a nice use of the word, but it's not. I made it up just then. So it's really important that people tune into the fact you can't eat enough blackberries to warrant having that kind of a fire issue on your property, nor can we have it here. So what we do, and when I bring in the CCC teams, we did before, is when you have blackberry like this, you can't dig it out. So you start off by going in and pruning it back to this high. And you prune it back to this high for two reasons. What may look like a huge mass of bad blackberries may only be 4 or 5 plants, but it begins to make this huge, structure by climbing up. And once it climbs up, it then berries. So you go in and you make it this high. It lets you identify it. And then when you go in to pop it out, you have something you can use as leverage. When the CCC team came here last year before I was with them, they just whacked that stuff down to the ground. Well, once you whack it to the ground, you can't see it. So I now have a team coming in here, and they've been pretty thorough. And I've been ones you can't see. But the reality is, when you go to blackberry, it should never be cut to the ground. It should be cut up here, and it should be there for two reasons: for leverage, and then there's another way that I find very helpful. There are times when you have a crown this big and you take it out. Those roots on blackberries, you try and get as much out as you can, but it's a time factor. If you've got a huge crown, you could literally follow that root for 3 feet and still not get to the end of it. So what you do is you dig it out, and then as it comes back, you can do one of two things. You can again go after it and dig it out, or you can starve it out. We have the ability, and we'll have to play it by ear, that we may revert after this mass clearing to starving it out. And the reason is because when it's this high and you are not going to do any more digging, or you're at the point where nobody wants to volunteer because it is way too hard, you do what I did over at Junction Park. I had the 4-H kids, and they did that embankment as you go down into Junction Park on the right. It was worse than anything you can see here almost, and it was every invasive you could want. And these little 10-year-olds, and Jennifer Hennig and I really did this restoration work. But what we did was, instead of digging out those blackberries, because the kids were too little It was on an incline. It was really too hard. We literally took and kept 1 or 2 canes about this high, and every week when we would go in, the kids would take the pruners and they would literally cut off all the leaves that came out and would starve them to death. At the end of 3 years, we went in there and you could literally, because the crown, the roots, everything had disintegrated and just dried out so much, you could literally pull it out. And by the time I pulled it out, there were very, very few times where there was anything that tried to come back.
The ducks.
So,
ducks?
oh, yeah, we had 2 ducks at the end. So some of this is, I wish I could give you hard, cold approaches, but you have to play it by ear. You have to play by what you get. At this point, there's going to be an art installation out here. It's going to be a couple of years before the library goes in. We're going to be really working hard to get rid of the invasives, and they want to bring the community's awareness here. So we're putting up a new split rail fence, which AmeriCorps is putting in. It will look great. This whole area will be deeply, deeply chipped with chip. And I really hope to have it spread sooner than this because I wanted the rain to hit it. Chip is the most cost-effective way to get rid of this much weed. They have disked this every year forever. It doesn't get rid of it. It just keeps the seed bank going. But if you put a foot of chip down here, you're going to get ahead of this stuff. So we're going to ultimately try and get all of this chip done, but Santa Cruz County Parks is probably going to give us a front loader to come in and do it so that we can put it down and scrape it to grade. Watch when you walk here. The holes are huge. And we're going to fill in the holes and bring it to grade and chip it so deeply that we get beyond these weeds. Because if we don't get beyond these weeds, we are never going to get this done either. It's just one constant rotation. And to be honest, it gets to the point, it gets so discouraging to be doing it yet again. And grasses are one of those. So we have the AmeriCorps team. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
When are you thinking that front loader and chipping is going to happen, Linda?
Your event is in May.
May 20th. Yeah.
We will be done. I'm actually hoping to do it. I was hoping to get it in here this week so that we could begin getting the front and then just keep this going back. But their front loader is down.
Oh.
So it may be the team is here until the 17th. And so I actually have hopes because what I would like to do is have the team to grade. They have from our other project sites. The reason I put this one at the end was they've had their pruning class. They're amazing pruners. They've had their pruning class. They've been pulling Blackberry for weeks now, and they know how to grade chip. So my hope is that we will get back here because once they do the front loader, I want this as we leave it to be absolutely perfect. So it settles. I don't want it to be.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I have the team here, and some of the team is not here, and 2 of the team have just gone off to do a presentation that they have to do. And so they will be coming back over, and we'll be working with them. With pitchforks, is there anybody here who is not interested in popping out the Blackberry?
Mom,
Oh, well, she just gets to be the
she can do.
supervisor.
You can't use a pitchfork.
Yeah.
I'm just making that decision.
Yeah.
So she can pick things up and tidy things up.
And that's exactly how it happens. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to Justin. He cleared up, there was an area right on the edge of the marsh that there was vinca that hadn't quite gone in. And it was just dead limbs. And so I agreed because it was within the margin that I'm creating. This is essentially the margin that I'm creating at the moment that we'll have for all of our art study. This willow is looking very sad. I don't know, maybe it's not even a willow.
So,
it is.
Linda, I think that and the landscape architect plan, I saw there a couple willows here, and particularly that one that's growing horizontally that they're planning to remove and replace.
Yes.
You know that, yeah.
I sort of thought that was perhaps it, but it's only just barely in. What they didn't probably realize was what a swamp it was.
Yeah.
So, So what I'm doing here at this point is just leaving as much habitat again so that when the time comes, they'll be able to go in. But I did have Justin take out that limb because what I don't want is that vinca to start going in because it gets really dense in there and I'm not quite sure. So I would like to perhaps put somebody over on vinca. Has anybody here removed vinca? Yeah. Yes. Vinca is easy. All you do is put the pitchfork in, you pop it, and you take your hand literally like this and put it around the crown and pull it up.
It's like home weeding.
Home weeding, because you really want to get as much of that root as possible. So that would be on that end. This end, what we're doing is Shannon is up here, who is our amazing team leader. She's with Justin, who is an assistant team leader, and we're going after the blackberry. I spent the morning cutting out eye pokers, which is one of the first things I do, which is to lift, usually to the height of men. Sometimes I don't, but to do that. So what I would say is we should probably grab some pitchforks, and I will bring you and team you up with the teams, and you can work with them, and we can get going. I'm really glad you're here.
We have a couple more
I'm really
people coming
glad.
too.
Yeah.